Welcome back to Speak and Serve, and today we're going to talk about the fear of public speaking and six tips to talk about how we overcome public speaking. It's a fear that can grip a lot of us, and allegedly somebody said that the fear of public speaking could also be bigger than the fear of death itself. What a great way to start, Chris. Positivity, there we go. Well, first tip is just to acknowledge the fact that we may well have a fear of something. Ignoring the fear is lying to thyself. And acknowledging the fact that fear exists suggests that you've got to do some work to overcome it. So brilliantly just saying to yourself, do you know what? I'm not too sure I like this, and therefore I'm going to master the art of it and practice it. And that brings me to number 2 tip, is to make it easier. How do we make anything easier? It's by practicing and trying to be better at it. I'm sure if you said today, I need to play Beethoven's Fifth Symphony on the piano, and you'd never touched a keyboard before, you'd be in an opera house, you'd be feeling quite fearful. But by practicing, by getting lessons, by playing that tune out hundreds of times on the keyboard, slowly but surely, you would feel confident enough to go out on stage and play that piano in front of all those people. And speaking is no different. We have to get used to doing it, trying to do it, and mastering the art of doing it. You could go to something like Toastmasters, an international organization across the world, something like 14,000 clubs, and they are so good at embracing the fact that not everybody wakes up to be a born natural speaker, but through principles of practice, feedback, and then application, you can find yourself getting better and better at public speaking. Tip number 3 is to speak on what you know if you are feeling anxious. And therefore, it just comes out as a natural talk or conversation about something you've done. It could be a recent holiday you've had, a trip, a sport, a pastime, a favorite restaurant, or even something that you've conquered, perhaps an event, or even going through your teen years, or approaching midlife, or leaving a job and getting another one. There's an experience there that you could probably just talk to camera about or talk in a room about without having a script, without having lots of statistics. It's just a shared experience of your knowledge talking to another group. And when we talk about something that we're confident on and something that we know, it reduces some of that anxiety. So if the first step is to talk in public, find something that you might like to talk about that's a story or a conversation that you can share with a room. Tip number 4 is just literally to find a way to calm yourself down. And a simple technique that I use an awful lot before I'm about to go out and talk to anybody or anywhere is just to breathe deep and slow. A big breath through in through the nose, longer than normal. Hold it, and then we exhale through the mouth. And we try and do that 3, 4, 5 times. And this is speaking to the parasympathetic nervous system that sits within all of us. The sympathetic one is the one that gets you ready for fight or flight, and that's often the one that we start to feel when we're anxious or nervous or fearful. And the one that calms us down is the parasympathetic. And when we start to breathe naturally and slowly and deeply, the nervous system just feels that natural breath and everything begins to calm. Obviously, you can also have some calming music or perhaps a calming routine. Getting good sleep and eating well and having good hydration helps calm everything down. And also, maybe you could do things like having something in your pocket that you could hold that gives you comfort or strength, or even if you fear the fact that you're going to hold a piece of paper and it's going to start to shake, maybe you could have a clicker or something you can hold that's not going to shake as much. Some simple tactics there to try to keep yourself calm. Tip number 5 is talk to yourself positively. Often we talk to ourselves with so much negativity. You can't do this, you're going to fail, it's going to be a disaster. And yet, if it was your best friend about to speak tomorrow or this afternoon or next week, you'd say, yes, you can do this. You've got this. I believe in you. I think you can do this. You would talk to your best friend with a huge amounts of support, cheerleading, positivity. And yet within ourselves, we start to think of the worst things that we might begin to tell ourselves. So I would urge you to slay that negative voice that might sit on your shoulder and say to yourself, yes, you can. I know I can. And even if the worst happens, what is really the worst that could happen? It's just going to be a little bit of embarrassment. But from that, I will acknowledge the fact that I tried and go again. Just like it was when I perhaps learnt to ride my bike. I fell off. I might have got a bit bruised. I might have skinned my knee, but I'm going to try again and learn the art. Public speaking is a skill. It's not something most of us were born with, but it is something that you can practice over time and get better and better and better at. But it is unfortunately down to the fact that you have to practice it and you have to get comfortable doing it. And as you go through time, it'll become easier and easier. Those are 5 tips. The final tip is just to ask for help. You might want to ask a coach like myself to give you some tips. You might want to join a program, maybe subscribe for the channel, or just get curious on AI or YouTube and just type in how to overcome the fear of public speaking. And you can watch some great TED Talks. You could read some great courses, a lot of which will be free value that people will give you. Get curious, find out from others how they've succeeded with the art of public speaking. But most importantly, back yourself, trust yourself, have a go and learn just how easy it could be once you begin to believe that you can.